So hey guys, and welcome back to Born Traveller. Right, in this video we're going to talk about how to buy a property here in Batumi in Georgia. Let's get started. So I've got a confession. I actually bought an apartment here a couple of months ago. I didn't know whether I was going to kind of like share it on my YouTube channel, but I've decided to. Yeah, so I bought a property here in Batumi in Georgia. So it just made sense really to make a video about how to buy one and how easy it is. So I thought I'd take you through how to buy a property here in Batumi in Georgia and how easy it is to have your own little like holiday home or digital nomad base in one of the best countries to be a digital nomad. So why Batumi? Well, I just love the place. I've ended up spending 6 months here for a couple of reasons, because of COVID, financial reasons, and really to buy a property. But the main reason really, I just like it. I just absolutely love this place. It's just lovely. You know, this is middle of winter, this is February. As you can see, it's lovely and sunny. I can come out, yes I'm wearing a jacket, but really enjoy the beach, you know. The water's nice and calm, there is things open. It's just a lovely place to be. But most importantly, it has everything a digital nomad wants. Fast internet, good weather, great things to see and do, great food, and it's extremely cheap. On top of that, 90 countries in the world get 1 year visa free, just straighten out. And if you did want to renew, you just cross the border here, 37 kilometers in the same day, come back, no questions asked. So you can pretty much live here constantly, and a bit like Cambodia where nobody really asks anything about you. It's fantastic. You can open a bank account in 20 minutes and you get a saving rate of 11.6% APR. So if you do want to save money as a digital nomad, I can't think of a better place. The bank seems pretty secure. I would recommend opening up one with Bank of Georgia and TBC. So how do you buy a property? Right across the beachfront, all the way down, is sales offices where you can buy. If you just look for something like Orbi or Alliance, there are plenty of places on sale. So how much does it cost? Well, prices start actually at $12,000 for a black frame, and I'll talk about that in a minute. For the average apartment, finished apartment, what they call turnkey, which is pretty much furnished apartment studio, you're looking around $25,000 to $30,000. Everything in. You'll literally be able to move in and it has everything. You don't have to spend a penny. TV, curtains, bedding, the lot, it's all in. It really depends on what you want. If you do want a one bedroom apartment, you're looking more to like 30, 40, 50,000. So it can get a little bit more expensive, and of course it can go up from there. If you want something like this that's beachfront, these properties are like $100,000, $200,000 minimum. So it really does depend on kind of what you want. But you can get a beachfront apartment for about $35,000 with a sea view. So that is incredible for a studio. So this is one of the sales offers I was talking about. Now this is out of season, so actually it's not there's no one there at the moment, but in season there'll be somebody in that office you can talk to about buying an apartment from the Alliance. As you can see in the distance, there are cranes everywhere. There's 169 different buildings going on, and you can pretty much pick up whatever you want, as cheap as you want or as most expensive as you want. One of the best things now in Georgia is they're building things pretty much to European standards, so the quality of the finish, yes, it's not probably as good as maybe Germany or the UK, but it's certainly not bad. I'm pretty happy with my Orbi City apartment. There's a few niggles that I would probably get sorted out myself by a decent builder, but honestly overall the quality of the finish is pretty good. I think the only thing you've got to be careful of is the materials. Make sure whatever they're using is decent materials. But in terms of like safety, it's pretty much state of the art. I've got a sprinkler system, there's a good fire alarm system, everything's there, you'd expect in somewhere that's modernly built. So let's talk about this like black frame, white frame turnkey, what it means. So black frame is basically you buy the apartment, it's normally going to be residential, and what that means is there'll be nothing in it. There'll be no plaster, no electrics, no water put in. You have to pay for that, and that all has to be done. And that's basically what white frame is. White frame is basically they put the basics in, so all the dirty work's been done. So basically all the walls have been skimmed, the floor's been done. All you need to do then really is to put the kitchen, the bathroom, and the furnishings in. Turnkey is the top package, and that is basically everything. That includes everything. The furnishings, the TV. I assume you can select what you want, and you can pay extra if you want like upgraded like appliances and stuff. So basically they'll put everything in and you don't have to do anything. The builders literally, you get the keys and it's ready to go. You don't have to worry about furnishings or anything, it's all there in. The other thing is, if you do buy a turnkey apartment, you have the option of actually renting out when you're not there. You can hand the keys over to the management of the building and they take 30 or 40% commission, but you basically get paid to rent your apartment out. It's almost like a hotel room. They estimate between $3,000 to $5,000, I think, per annum if you rented it out the whole year, which I don't think is too bad. I think if it was obviously more expensive, you could get up to like 8,000 to 12,000. But you have to remember how many apartments are here, so be realistic, and I don't think you're going to get the figures that they've been saying. So what did I buy? Well, I didn't buy on the beachfront, I must admit. Because of erosion and things like that, I was a bit worried about buying on the beachfront, you know, in terms of long term. So I bought 400 meters away from the beach. It's about a 5-6 minutes walk, and it's quite easy. You just walk straight in a straight line. You can't really get lost. So if I ever did want to rent it out, you know, it's a pretty good location. It's back of Metro City, so it's right next to a shopping centre, and again, it's near the airport. I wasn't really bothered about CV because of the cost savings. I picked my apartment up for $17,000 black frame, so when it's finished, it'll be $27,000 complete, I think. So the average price for a black frame is normally $15,000 to $20,000, and then $10,000 to $12,000 on top for the renovations, and that includes everything. So in my case, I bought black frame now, but I can upgrade anytime I want and turn it into a turnkey. I want to see the designs of what the actual builder's colours they're going to use before I decide on what I'm going to do. Other thing to bear in mind is most of these projects are bought off plan. So if you do want something finished, that's going to be a little bit more difficult. You have to put a 30% deposit down, but you can get a 70% loan from either Bank of Georgia or TBC at an interest rate of about 7%. So it's not bad, but it's certainly not the cheapest. But however, we're not talking about huge sums of money here. Most people here probably would have the cash, or at least half the deposit, to put down. So in my case, I bought a off the plan 60 months interest-free payments. It just suits me because I want to continue traveling. I didn't want to use all my savings, and I certainly don't want to apply everything into it. The interest-free payments just make sense. It's better than money in my bank account and their bank account. I won't be able to get the apartment until 2025, so I've got to wait 3 years before it's built, which is a bit annoying, but to be honest, I was quite happy. I need to save more money for the renovations anyway, so it gives me time. I'm not in any rush to get the apartment. I'm living out of Airbnbs. I'm quite happy with my life. So now we can see this up close and personal. You can see like they've started to put the glass in. This project is probably a good year away from being finished. If you see a project in this state, it's still going to be about a year away from when you actually get the keys to the apartment. But they do tend to build them quite quickly. If you buy into it as an investment, I don't think it's probably very good. I can't see house prices rocketing up here in Batumi or in Georgia anytime soon. There are so many apartments being built here that it's going to keep the house prices down. I think, to be honest, there's more kind of property than there is demand. Georgia is a lovely country, but still a lot of people don't even know about it. So it's not like Dubai where you're just going to keep making money. I think house prices here are going to stay the same probably within my lifetime. I don't think they're going to go up by 20,000 to 30,000. So if you buy somewhere for 30,000, 2 or 3 years, it's still going to be worth 30,000. So that is probably the most negative thing. I think the other thing is, unfortunately, obviously with the conflict going on with Russia, there's a lot of Russians buying here, so that in the future could create tensions. Obviously we don't know what's going on with Ukraine, so that is something to take into account as well. So guys, I've just listed a few of the opportunities you can buy here. We've got Orbi City, prices start here around $35,000. There's Wyndham Residence, which is a 5-star hotel, which is slightly more. Their prices start about $44,000 for a studio. However, I really would like, if I had the money, I really would buy there, because I think that's going to be one of the best places. I think that's going to be, in long term, that's going to be probably the best kept. I am a bit skeptical of whether Orbi City in the future will be neglected. Wyndham Residence, I don't think will be. I think that'll be looked after. So Orbi City, the maintenance cost is $60 a month. It's $2 per square metre. Of course, that could go up. I don't know Wyndham Residence, but I assume it'll be the same, or maybe up to $100. My apartment I bought, the maintenance is actually only $20 a month, so in terms of locking it up and the upkeep, it really doesn't cost anything at all. On the cheap side, there's a development right now called Onyx. They're offering in the city, probably about a 10-minute walk from the beach, for around $12,000. Mine's being built by Horizon, and it's $17,000 for a 26-metre black frame. So like there's 3 locations to buy. You can buy in Old Batumi, New Batumi, or New Boulevard. New Boulevard is near the airport, and that's where I would actually recommend buying. It is kind of like away from like the action where the tourists are and where the most interesting things are, but in terms of like long-term development, I think this is going to be developed better because it's newer. So as you can see, this park here has been lovely developed, and I say the barrier here is better done. So I think here, and that's where I bought in New Boulevard. I think this is really the place to buy. So if you buy in New Batumi, that's where Orbi City is, and most of the Orbi developments are. I still think this not the best place because it's going to be packed with tourists. So like in the summer, you're going to get lots of like rowdy people, drunk. You know, July, August, your apartment's probably going to be quite noisy unless you really soundproof it really well. I mean, you can soundproof anything as much as you want, but if you've got somebody shouting and partying till 3 in the morning, which, you know, don't get me wrong, this is a party town, then it's something to take into consideration. Here in New Boulevard, yes, obviously there's loads of developments, but people don't tend to book in this area. They tend to book closer to the action, near Orbi Batumi. In Orbi Batumi, there is lots of apartments, but they are more expensive, and bear in mind they were built in the Soviet time, so I think the maintenance cost is going to be quite high. You're definitely going to have to be doing renovations, repairs, and probably the whole building is not going to be maintained very well. So now it comes down to the last thing I want to talk about really, is the builder itself. Try to go with a developed builder like Alliance, Orbi, Next, or maybe Horizon. Don't go with some small, kind of like medium-sized. Onyx is cheap, but I don't think maybe they'll never finish it. And you have to say, if the apartment block's cheap, you have to question who's going to be buying those apartments, you know. So yes, mine's cheap, but the actual complex I think it's going to be quite nice when it's finished. So the other Horizons seem quite well managed. There's certainly not rowdy people in there. So this is Metro City, and that's a big shopping centre, and there's the Aurora Hotel. Normally that's lit up, it's like a display, so it's a big casino basically, and there's lots of apartments and stuff, and you know, it's a nice place. If you want to, one of the best hotels actually is Aurora. It's really nice. And this is kind of like what they've done with the river so far. As you can see, they've only done to here. Mine's going to be further down, but the river's going to be hopefully developed in the same way with a nice walkway. So as you can see, they've done it quite nice here. We've got a nice like quiet park. When my apartment's finished, I'll basically be able to just walk straight down here, hopefully on a path like this, straight to the sea. I can also use a scooter as well, hopefully. So I'm going to buy a little electric scooter. So basically guys, this is where I bought. We've got the river here, which is hopefully going to be all developed, like I showed you earlier on the pathway. I think it's going to be one way, so what they'll do is they'll put a pavement here, and then there'll just be one, and you'll be able to just drive around and then come back down. I think that's what's going to happen. So all this will be a nice walkway, and it'll all be developed so you can, you know, go on a scooter from here. I do believe they're going to make this nice, because I think that they want to make this kind of the focal point of the New Boulevard section. As I say, this is the actual site where my house is being built. You got Tower A and Tower B. They do seem to be doing a lot of work. It's definitely different to when I saw it last. It really is. They really have starting to crack on with it, which is really good. Before, this site there was none of this boarding, and there was just a big hole with water in it. They seem to clear most of the water. You can see there's a lot of construction. They're digging a lot of the, you know, the old soil out. It's definitely looking good anyway. So that's my final point. If you're going to buy, be very careful on the builder you're buying with. I bought with the Horizon, and they're already a proven builder. They've already completed 2, and I've actually stopped in one of their apartments. It's where the sales office is. It's called Horizon Apart Hotel. And so I stopped in one. The sales office at the bottom. There are people there, so that's a good sign, you know, that the project will get finished. As I say, I'm making 3 years of payments without actually using any of it. So there is a risk, and I've calculated if the company was going to go bankrupt, it was going to go bankrupt in the first 2 years probably, and I've risked up to about $8,000, which I'm quite happy with. I mean, they're interest-free payments, so it's not like I've paid any extra interest on it. But if it comes off, I bought an apartment in a lovely place for less than $20,000. How many places can you do that in the world? So what do you actually need to do to buy one? Well, actually not that much. I'd recommend opening a bank account with Bank of Georgia or TBC. That takes 20 minutes. Go and speak to the sales office. They'll show you, if the site's already half built, then you'll be able to see like the progress they've already made. They're pretty comprehensive of what it's going to look like. Maybe rent a couple of Airbnbs in the same developer, and then really all you need to do is just sign the paperwork. The construction project will either be half finished or it'll be completely like mine, where it's completely off plan. So the earlier you buy, the cheaper it is. Obviously there is risk with that, but like I say, I'm willing to take that risk. That's it really. It really is not a difficult process. Once you've paid 30%, you can then go to the town hall, which is really easy to find. You go with one of their sales agents and they sign, basically a government agent signs the paperwork over to you. Georgia's really easy to buy a property actually. The laws here are very favourable for foreigners to buy. You own the leasehold for the property and it's yours forever. The main thing I haven't seen on the internet that I was really happy about, I haven't really seen any kind of like horror stories. If there is horror stories, they're not easy to find. Maybe they do exist, but they're not like every day. So I was really happy to buy in Georgia because they've sold thousands of apartments here already, and if there was so many problems, the internet would be littered with scams. Of course there is scams everywhere, but I think it's quite a safe place to buy as a foreigner. So guys, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a comment if you're more interested in buying in Batumi. One of the best places I find in the world to buy a property as a foreigner. Please remember to subscribe, turn on the notification button, and I'll see you next time.